Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à cet épisode de Classe Affaires. Anthony et moi, on est ici au Tribe Resort en République dominicaine et aujourd'hui, on vous présente un invité très spécial.
Gil, c'est le fondateur de la page Instagram Luxury World Traveler qui détient plus de 3 millions d'abonnés et c'est aussi le fondateur d'une technologie innovante qui s'appelle Own, qui est une conciergerie digitale basée sur l'intelligence artificielle. Dans cet épisode, on va parler de l'avenir du voyage, mais aussi du moment présent. Parce que, on le sait tous, l'intelligence artificielle et les réseaux sociaux existent et maintenant, ils s'amènent dans l'industrie du voyage. C'est un épisode à ne pas manquer. Il y a beaucoup de contenu, beaucoup d'informations, puis on va vous parler de l'avenir de l'industrie du voyage.
Cet épisode sera en anglais spécialement parce qu'évidemment, notre invité Gil est anglophone. Alors, je vous souhaite une très bonne écoute. Hi, Gil.
How's it going, guys?
Very good yourself.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Blessed to be here in the beautiful Dominican Republic. I mean,
Exactly.
what's not to love?
Well, thank you for making the trip down here. As you said, in paradise. We're super excited. Gil Antolin, founder of Luxury World Traveler. Gil, take us back. Where did this start? How did this start? Where are we now?
Yeah, Luxury World Traveler, was from the inception, was a passion project. I got to take you back to 2008. That's really where the inspiration came from it. And then I'll fast forward to present day. But in 2008, I was self-employed, had a very successful business, 40 employees in the real estate and finance world. And then the world market bottomed out. You remember the financial crash of 2008? It just like completely went away. And so I found myself in the midst of losing everything that was really important to me. My houses, my cars, I got, me and my ex broke up. And during that process, my spiritual advisor said, I know you think this is the worst time of your life, but I really think it would be beneficial for you to do a mission trip with me to Africa. We're going to take 8 guys there. Yeah. In the midst of losing everything, please go help other people on the other side of the world, and from a human element, I'm like, how can I help other people when I'm going into bankruptcy? I was losing like 5 houses in foreclosure. All of my assets were being taken away from me. So everything I had built to that point as an entrepreneur was being stripped from me. So I was wondering like how exactly I could I could benefit or help other people. But long story short, I went. And I found myself in an orphanage in Uganda, Africa. And I thought, me and a group of men that I put together, we raised the capital to bring over, a couple $100,000 for schools and everything. And, you think from a Westerner standpoint, like they should be so grateful we're showing up here with money because we just, have this pompous attitude. And I had a life-changing moment. I was in this orphanage and these children were so excited we were there. They had this musical performance planned for us. Okay. And these are children that are in orphanage in one of the poorest countries in the world. And like we walk in this room, it explodes in like dance and song. And then it was that day that I learned what joy was. I started crying. And it was at that moment that I said, okay, there's 2 things I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to pay it forward to people that can't help me. I want to help others live their best life and do this because that feeling like equaled the amount of happiness I had when I had my son. Like it was just welling up from inside. And then 2, I need to be in travel because there's no way I could have this life-altering experience if I didn't leave my comfort zone, and even in the midst of my sorrow and then transport myself to the other side of the world. And that's, and so those became my 2 passion projects. And then fast forward to about 2012, I have a 24-year-old son, and he's the one that got me onto Instagram. And, when I first saw it, Instagram was just pictures and filters. There was nothing else on it. And, I was at my sister's house for Christmas. My son and my 2 nephews are all the same age. I walk into a room, they're on their phones, they're giggling on the couch, they're passing the phones back and forth. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. They're like, oh, Dad, we're on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, what's that? They're like, it's pictures, you share it with your friends. Like, this is what Instagram is. Okay, great. So it's like Facebook, and I'll never forget this. My son, I was sitting on the couch, him and my nephews, all 3 of them was like a movie script. They looked up at me with their eyes, and my son goes, Dad, Facebook's for old people. And I was like, I was 32. I was like, what?
And when was that?
That was 2011.
Already.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, I'm not old. So I grabbed the phone. I go, what is this Instagram? And I saw immediately a picture of the Maldives. I'll never forget it. I didn't know where it was at. And then immediately I was hooked, you know, and from there at that time I was working a job I hated. I was exchanging time for money, you know, because I just lost everything. I was trying to put my life back together. I was a single dad. And then Instagram really became my like daily online vision board, right? I was able to see and curate a page that was following my passion, which was, you know, before when I was doing really well, I would travel, but I wouldn't travel like internationally. You know, us Southern Californians, if you do travel in luxury, you either go in Hawaii or Mexico, right? I mean, that's it. So I created a page that I thought people would like based off my experiences first, but it wasn't like to become an influencer. It wasn't because I wanted to build a page. It was just, I was sharing my passion with the world, and I found that Instagram became the best platform for that. Does that make sense?
You know,
Totally.
it's so simple. Influencers weren't even a thing yet. This was at the inception of Instagram at the beginning. Social media was just, you know, really starting to gain forefront, and this was the first new platform essentially at the time. It was Facebook and only Facebook after MySpace, and now Instagram comes in, so it's the hot new thing, and you kind of got in the right place at the right time, if you will, right?
Correct. I got in the right place at the right time, and you know, like, this really became my escape from the life I was living. I'll be honest. Like, when I say online vision board, I really can't emphasize that enough. It became my online vision board because at that point I was dead broke, just so you know. You know, I was dead broke. I had to move out of my house. I was living at my friend's house, me and my son living at my friend's house, like trying to put my life back together, working a job I hated. And, you know, like, every time I would go on Instagram and see these pictures of travel, it just was my mental escape. You know, I got to go transport myself to the Maldives or Bora Bora, Fiji, whatever. And so then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna curate a page for someone like me who has a passion for travel, because I feel like it's so important for people to travel internationally because of the feeling and the life-altering, paradigm-shifting moment that I had. You know, like, when you have a moment like that in your life, you want everyone to experience that. You know, like, all the onion layers were just pulled back, and I'm like, wow, the world is not the way that I see it. The world is the world, and I was seeing it through a very, very small lens. And when that was stripped away, I just wanted to share it. So what I did very quickly was that when I first started, I would pick a new destination every single week that I wanted to go to, but I hadn't been to. So again, vision board. And then every Sunday night for about 6 hours, I would reach out to hotels, resorts, photographers that I found on Instagram, people who had already been there that had amazing content, and I just wrote them a message like this: hey, I have this Instagram page, it has a couple thousand followers. I'm gonna be doing a 1-week showcase on Fiji. I feel like your resort or your photo or your restaurant or your whatever fits well. Would you mind me posting it, and I'll make sure to tag your location? Okay. And at that point, everyone said yes, but then all of a sudden, I was like arbitraging the talents of other people to create this visually stunning, you know, like vision board for people that wanted to go to the destination. And I think it resonated with people because it started to grow very fast. And then that was exactly how like Luxury World Traveler came to be, you know?
And when you say grow really fast, and if we're fast forwarding today, how many followers does Luxury World Traveler have?
Yeah, we have about 3.1 million followers.
And we're not talking about a couple 100,000, we're talking about in the millions.
Yeah, it grew very fast in the beginning, and you know, like, it was just again, when you do something that you love, and again, it was my escape, I didn't feel like a job, you know, like, I actually looked forward to Sunday nights because then I got to like research where all these places that I wanted to go, and then during the week to be able to showcase them, and it was an amazing way for me to learn about the world. Honestly, you could take your phone out and show me a picture of like, you know, a hotel or resort or a beach in the world, and my friends play this game with me, and like, there's a very good chance I might know where it's at because I've seen so many, you know, during that process, I just saw like millions and millions of photos of travel places, so yeah.
So, and at what point along that journey did it go from a passion project to an actual business that you can leverage, or something that was more than that? At what point did you also understand that social was going to change the way that people engaged with travel, inspired themselves, researched, even booked travel? Take us through that little process.
So yeah, that's a good question. So for the first year, it was just me posting stuff that I had and learning the platform. Again, I was a single dad, I didn't have time, you know, and then when I decided, hey, I want to do this a week at a time, and it started to get traction, I was like, okay, there might be something here. And right in 2014 is when it all changed for me. So to give you an example, I created a website. It was like luxewt.com, one page of just like something beautiful, and then like, this is me, blah, blah, blah. It was nothing, right? But I registered the email with Gmail, so I had @luxewt, and I put the website in the Instagram page. And sure enough, one day, I'll never forget this, I got an email from a hotel in Santa Monica. I lived in Southern California, right? And the email was something like this: hey, we're trying to reach the owner of Luxury World Traveler. We're a hotel in Santa Monica. We'd like to invite him up here for the weekend and stay in one of our suites and, you know, pay for him to get massages and all of his meals in exchange for him to just take some photos and post it on his Instagram. And I was like,
Wait,
excuse me? Like, literally I was like, excuse me? Like, this ain't real. So I literally called the hotel and I demanded to speak to the general manager or the owner, because I thought one of my friends was effing with me. I thought someone was
You didn't believe it.
I know, I was like, okay, one of my friends that knows I have this page is like, oh, this will be a good prank. I called, sure enough, I got to the owner's daughter. She was the VP of operations, and she's like, no, you have a beautiful page. At this point, I had like 50,000 followers. Okay. And 2014, that was
a lot.
It was like Nike and Starbucks, you know, and like me. It was like, you were all on the same level. And she's like, no, we would love to have you come down. We'll send you a card, come get you in Huntington Beach, come up, put me up in their, you know, Malibu facing suite. Like, so this suite that like faces down the Pacific coast towards Malibu, paid for me for the weekend, all my meals comped, take a couple photos, put it on Instagram. And I was like, okay, this thing might have some traction. And then about a month later, Instagram was acquired by Facebook. And that's when I was like, okay, Zuckerberg's smarter than me. So like, if he's gonna pay $1 billion for this app that nobody I know knows about now, then why not get out in front of it, you know? And so that's kind of when I took it serious.
Great. And then, so did it go from hotels soliciting you, and then after that experience, what did that campaign lead to? Then you start approaching hotels. How did you develop to essentially build your own content? Because up until this point, you're using other people's content, you're arbitraging others, and now, were you always a photographer or a content creator? Did you develop that knowing that this is a useful skill that I need? And where did you see that skill into the whole bigger picture of things? Because now, all right, I got invited. Okay, can I now then make money from doing this? And I'm sure there was that natural process as a natural born entrepreneur. You're looking at, how do I take this to the next level?
So yeah, exactly. So I was an entrepreneur, and this was like the sign I needed, right? From like the heavens. I'm like, okay, these guys are willing to host me. I went on their website. I'm like, what does this suite cost for the weekend? It was like $700 a night, right? So I was like, they're spending like $2,000 on me. So they're valuing pictures on my account at $2,000. So that's what kind of like shifted my paradigm of like, oh wow, this could be like an online magazine type thing, you know, because people paid to do ads in magazines. But again, it was still very young. So I said, okay, here's what I need to do. I need to figure out how to replace my income so that I can do this full time, right? And so what I did was I got that hotel plus 2 others to pay me to run their social medias, so that I could leave the shit job that I was in, you know, the shit situation that I was in. Now, was that my dream job? Absolutely not. I didn't want to run Instagram. But you know what? It gave me the freedom to do this full time and pursue my passion full time. And I really feel like that was the number one factor for the success of everything, is that, you know, I feel like when you make a commitment to something, and you go after your passion, not 10%, not 30%, not 50%, but when you go all in and bet on yourself, I feel like the universe reciprocates that energy to you. And so that's what I did. I said, and I remember having the conversation with my mom. Okay, 2014, my mom, me, my son is like 9, 10 years old, you know, and I just wanna let you know, I'm gonna quit the finance job I have because I'm gonna pursue a career in Instagram. She started crying. Oh, what are you talking about? Like, it was Instagram. Like, she didn't even know what Instagram is. She still barely does, you know, and you have a son, he needs health insurance, like all this stuff. But I said, yeah, no, I want to pursue this passion. I got my income replaced. And then I really quickly realized I had no background in photography, videography, nothing. At that point, I literally had a disposable camera. I didn't even have a camera. And cell phone cameras were horrible, right? So what I had was, I recognized through Instagram from all these hundreds of posts that I had been doing, what the great thing about Instagram was Instagram, back then, not so much now, I could tell within the first minute of a post if the post was gonna go crazy viral or it was just gonna die. Okay. So when you monitor the habits or the behavior and the responses to your audience on hundreds of these, I started to develop a skill set and an eye for what framing and what pictures, again, it wasn't videos yet, worked and which ones would fall flat. So then I realized that looking around, most hotels didn't have Instagram, but the ones that did, they didn't know how to properly create their content. So then I developed a passion for content creation, specifically in the travel industry, just based on the skill set that I learned from watching Instagram posts go up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's how it all started. Literally, that's how it all started.
It's very interesting, and to a point that you made there, you went all in, you invested in it, you learned new skills, you pursued it, you took a risk, you quit the cushy job, knowing that you have bills and real life situations. You have a child to feed, you got a child to raise.
Yeah, I was a dad too. It wasn't just me I was betting on. Like when you have another life at stake, you're.
Well, of course, and now you're in the thick of it, and you're seeing it's evolving. You see that the role of social media plays in the whole process of consumption, of inspiration now, and then there's people that are coming on there to post these amazing pictures where they get inspiration maybe for their next vacation or their what. It's a digital magazine. It's a storefront for a lot of people. Right. How did that enter into the landscape of traditional travel? Did you ever give thought to that? Because obviously, as everybody knows, our audience here, we're from a retail background, right? I grew up the son of a travel agent. I've saw it from the storefronts all the way to there. Now you're talking about, going in and investing and learning new skills. We met 5 years ago because you had, made a course, and I understood this was COVID, right? So I had a bit of time to learn new things. I had understood early, even though I didn't have the time, that there's a whole other side to this travel, industry. Game, yeah. And I was seeing it in front of me. I'm like, because I was of the age too, I saw Instagram. I was on Instagram from the beginning, and never once did it cross my mind that this is going to be a platform or a vehicle to engage business. So it was more of a thing to showcase or show off your life or do whatever. That way you kept communicating with friends. But I was in the thick of the business, right? I was a retail travel agent, and it was a very good business. My mother had started something that rolled with the clientele, and it was at a point where it didn't necessarily need innovation right then and there. But I'm getting in there. I'm just, I'm done university. I'm in it full time now, and I see how it's going, and I love to travel. So I knew that I want to do this long term. But I was also very aware that am I going to be able to do this as long as I want to in the way that it's being done currently? Yeah. So, when we talk about investment in self and going out to learn new skills, COVID happens, everything's on hold. I'm like, okay, this will be maybe the only time ever that I'll have to learn something else. I didn't come from a social media background too, but I know that I have to do that because I would go on trips, the FAM trips that they call, which is short familiarization. And I'm there with a bunch of other agents. And one, I never looked like any of them that were there. I was fully aware that I did not necessarily fit in with the mold of the traditional one. And then two, I always would see or run into people, whether directly there or when I came back on social media and say, well, that person was at the exact same place that I was at. They had a better room. They were better treated. They were there, filming content, doing their things with their phone, having a great time. And then, living the same advantages and perks, but without the onus of then having to come back, sit behind the desk, build a network to sell things to people. So I was always intrigued by that, and I've understood that power, that potential from early on, which led me to getting your course, to understanding that side of it, because I had to say, like, this person, and at this point I only know you from Instagram. I know you're the founder of Luxury World Travel. I have no idea if you're a real person or not. Are you a jerk? Are you as inspirational as you seem? I'm just following, and I'm like, what he's doing is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm like, how do I get that with what I do? Because at that time too, I consider myself a natural born salesman. I loved what I was doing, and still do, but there was more to it. It couldn't just exist in the way that my mother had founded it. Yeah. So I was going out to learn new things. So it leads me to there. We get there, and it's still, I'm going to say unclear, but what the role that social plays in the purchasing consumption, right? Obviously, it's used as a marketing engine. Yep. Hotels will use it to drive traffic, awareness, essentially, if nothing else. But that's changing, right? But tell me a bit more about the thought as it was then to the role of social in the purchasing consumption, because it'll lead me to the next point after that. Okay, yeah, so absolutely. So that's a great question. And I think I have a unique perspective on travel because I'm not a travel professional, right? Exactly. So I'm one of the people that
they in the industry, most of the newer content creators, the people I've met, because I was one of the first ones to do influencer trips, and I was literally one of the first ones that everyone saw, and I had one of the biggest pages, so everyone knew what I was doing.
You were essentially
They called me the Godfather, because they're like, you're the first. Yeah. You know, you started the influencer trips, then we saw you taking people, and then you're training people, and it was great to enter an industry with a fresh perspective, but I was really evolving with social media and the travel industry as it was happening in real time, right? And so what happened was, as I started to get money in, I had a real website built, and we started to add different things that we would do. One of which would be hotels could pay us to feature their property on our Instagram page, right? Mm-hmm. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Keep going? Okay. And then I had a travel agent reach out to me in LA, and he's like, man, your page is awesome. He goes, do people ever reach out to you and ask to make bookings? If you could help? And I go, oh yeah, a lot. He's like, what? I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, how many? I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting probably right now 50 a month. He's like, what do you do with them? I'm like, I don't know, I tell them to go on Booking or Expedia. Yeah. Because again, I'm not a travel man. Now to you, I know that sounds crazy. You're like, no, but to me, I'm like, hey, I'm doing what I'm doing because I need to support my son. I have my little niche. Everything's going good. These hotels where I'm at, their pages are growing because I'm featuring them on my page, and back then it was easy to grow. So they're happy because I'm growing their pages, right? They're getting recognition. People are seeing them. One of them had Rihanna book a baby shower for a friend at the Santa Monica house. So that happened 2 months in, and the owner's like, oh, as long as you want to do this, you do this.
This is the future, right? But this is the present.
Rihanna came to my hotel and stayed here, So it was instant gratification, instant proof. So then this guy's like, look, for everyone that contacts you and wants to book, I'll take them, I'll do it, and if it converts, I'll give you half. I'm like, done. What do I have to lose? Yeah. I don't have time to do this. So that's exactly what we did. And that's why I learned that travel was influencing what people and where people wanted to spend their money, because they were spending more and more time on Instagram.
It's already great. Yeah.
That was quick.
Yep. And actually, at first, it was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, action.
Good.
Okay. Oh yeah. You want me to pick up?
Well, just and for real time here, we're recording an episode in paradise in the Caribbean, so very volatile. So if you saw, I noticed a little cut this because we started getting rained on. So we're back now. So let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about how now travel agencies are reaching out and asking, what are you doing with all these leads or this attention that you're generating?
Yep.
So I think it's an important factor because as we stand today, and we're talking 2025, first of all, the word influencer in traditional spaces ruffles a lot of feathers. Not mine. I love it. I understand it. I embrace it. I welcome it.
I ruffled a lot of feathers at the beginning. That was one of the fun parts of my job.
So for the purists that are out there, because now we're talking about, you're here, this new kid on the block. You don't come from a travel background, and now you're driving business to hotels, and travel agents are starting to pick up and think, hey, well, this guy's doing something. He's generating this attention. There's all this traffic. How can I convert that? Now, we're talking coming out of traditional travel agencies. Let's call this travel 1.0. The storefronts, the people that are there, it's all run by humans. They are the salespeople, the spokespeople for these hotels. They choose who they want to partner with. They influence the buying decision on the ground. Fast forward into the 90s, and then the internet comes out. The OTAs, the online travel agencies. So how did Expedia, Booking.com, all those types of places, hotels putting up booking engines on their own websites, now come and disrupt the game? And people were still, weary of that and wanted to dismiss that. And now here comes social media and another layer to this process that tries to kind of disrupt. And you come in and you're riding that wave. You don't come from travel. So you must have been ruffling a lot of feathers for the purists. It must have been quite something that...
It was actually a very interesting process for me because you know, I really quickly understood that like travel agencies were kind of pissed off when they saw me start to travel the way that I did, you know, like especially the owners of travel agencies, because they were the only ones that were getting comped those types of things, and it had been going like that for so long. So yeah, when someone new comes into your industry and they're getting a lot of attention, and the first time I noticed that is when I went with this travel agent to the Virtuoso conference in like 2015, I believe it was, and I showed up, and now in 2015, I was like 2015, 2016, but now Instagram, people know it, right? The platform's getting successful. People understand it. I had probably like 400,000 followers at this point, maybe 500,000. And so I'm kind of a big deal. And I remember going to Virtuoso, and like these guys were just not happy to see me there, because they're like, people were telling me, this guy over here is talking about you, this, that, and I'm like, well, it must be pure jealousy, because one, I don't know them. Two, I don't care. You know, I'm now gone to the Maldives. I've now gone to Thailand. I've now gone to Bali. I've stayed in like the nicest places in the nicest room categories. And for me, I was just doing my job. And the thing I don't think most people understand is that like the travel industry, from a hotel's perspective, they have the sales department, which deals with travel agents, and then they have the PR and marketing, which deals with what I was doing. So we were actually dealing with two different divisions of the hotels, but like I got clumped in, and so all of a sudden I'm this guy. I have all these followers. People recognize me. And now I partnered up with someone who's actually booking the leads and converting. And once that started happening, then it really, you know, started to ruffle feathers. Because I think the reason why it did is because change sometimes is not embraced by everybody, right? It's not embraced by everybody.
Of course.
There's countless examples over time, over history, you know, Netflix and Blockbuster, Ubers and taxis. I mean, the list goes on and on. You come in here and you're essentially, you're creating value to the hospitality industry, and it ruffles the feathers, I'd like to say, of those who aren't willing to evolve and adapt with it. Because, you know, I'll speak selfishly for myself. I see it, I'm jealous of it in the best way. I want that for myself, knowing what it is that I do, but I also understand the value I bring. I can only generate so much business as me or my team to any one individual hotel, and you're operating at scales far beyond anything we can do because you have an online presence and an audience and distribution. So obviously hotels understand the value of that, or hospitality brands understand the value of that. So
of course,
it's just foolish to ignore the power and the potential of it. And I just think it's ingenious, it's innovative. But again, it takes me back to the time where, you know, I saw my mother be very upset when the internet came out. You know, well, this is going to come, and, you know, now people are going to go there, and it's 24/7, and their volume undercuts the prices we have, but there's no human touch. And, you know, the best of the best stayed relevant with time. And, you know, even to this day, the industry still exists. One of our missions on this podcast is to literally preserve it and push it forward, but not by just saying, let us live. No, go earn your rights to evolve with it, innovate it. Our podcast is very much centered on the travel industry, but it's an entrepreneurship podcast. We are two business owners, agency owners, but we're very aware, and we don't shy from it. We embrace it. We want to push forward that conversation. So where that brings me to is, you know, we're here at a time where, because it's been repeated over and over, which is going to bring us to where we're going next.
Yeah.
The internet comes out, you know, the traditional travel agents are upset. It's going to ruffle feathers. But then, you know, the smart ones, well, let's build our own website. Yeah. How can we use this tool to adapt to make us better?
Correct.
Then social media comes, and that kind of disrupts that, because, you know, you're reading reviews online on internets, whether it's the embedded reviews on an Expedia or something like a TripAdvisor. I don't know who these people are, and they're writing reviews, so I'm going to take an aggregate of the reviews and kind of form and make my own decision. Now the influencer comes in, and it's like, well, okay, I built authentic audiences and specific niches, and I can speak directly to a person. So they take that work and say, instead of having to read 3 pages of the TripAdvisor to make my own opinion, my favorite influencer said, I got to go there because of this. Well, now I'm going there. And so it came to disrupt the internet age. And so here we are. And now I think we're at a point in certain degrees where, you know, the travel influencer now is a term that gets thrown around too often. Everybody wants to be a travel influencer. Yeah. Everybody wants to be a content creator. Well, why not, right? You get to travel the world. You get to see all these pretty places. Your life is a movie, as they say. And that gets saturated. And to the point where, from having worked with hotels, from having worked with influencers, you know, what was once the craze becomes a place where now everybody's paying attention. It gets oversaturated. How do I use the right influencer with the right image to generate the right, call it return on investment? Because at the end of the day, they're there for a mandate. It's not just awareness. Hopefully you can convert that into a book. And it got so big, so large, so saturated,
so fast,
that I got lost in all of it. So it was as little as maybe a few years ago was the hot thing, and everybody needs to have strong influencer partnerships or marketing plans. Now it's like, oh, it's dicey, it's hard, who's best what, they're here today, gone tomorrow, the content doesn't resonate, we're just chasing impressions and likes, but there's no actual conversion. So
yeah, it was like
another switch in forefront.
Yeah, no, and to your point, like that happens when you have a new emerging industry. They always call it like the wild, wild west, right? Because like it's land that has not been trekked yet. You know, this is like territory that nobody's explored before, right? And it was happening and evolving in real time. And so it went from the hotels and resorts like not having an Instagram to then being like, okay, now we know that we probably need one, but we're not going to spend a lot of resources in it, to then, okay, now we know we need to work with influencers because it's just where people's eyes are, right? And so, but when that happens in business and you're going through, you know, undiscovered times, there's always going to be rough spots, right? Because again, for those of you listening that don't know, like, think about it, you have a person that has been doing marketing at a hotel forever, and all of a sudden Instagram jumps on the scene and it's thrown on their lap to like figure it out, right? Exactly. And I think businesses now in 2025 understand that like, if you're not investing and have a specific strategy on Instagram, you don't just figure it out.
Of course.
Either you have a great page or you have a not great page, you know, like people can go to a page and be like, this is amazing, and you can see a page and be like, this page sucks,
yeah.
Right? And so, but back then they didn't really, you know, like nobody knew what it was. So working with influencers was something they thought they had to do, but there was no like structured way on like, you need to select the right one for their demographics. You need to have an actual agreement. You need to make sure that you're getting the content posted. There needs to be penalties if they don't. So because there was none of these rules and regulations put in place and there was none of these expectations set in the beginning, a lot of hotels had bad experiences with travel influencers. Now, just because that happens, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just means it didn't work the way that they did it. So that's one of the things that kind of like stood out with Luxury World Traveler, is that because I wasn't like a 25-year-old kid who just wanted to travel the world, I was older, I was more experienced, I took this more as a business. My goal when we were approaching hotel partners was always like, hey, we'll come there. Yes, I have one of the biggest travel Instagram pages in the world. We're going to showcase it. But my ultimate goal is for you to get bookings out of this. And so every time we would do that for hotels, when we got them, my travel directors would send emails to the general manager and the sales and marketing director and be like, this, you know, they would see email on the booking, 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 booking. So the word in the travel industry spread fast, lightning fast, right? People are like, there's not very, I mean, even to this day, there's not very many people that can say that they've generated an actualized ROI from the social media, you know? So it evolved, and I was one of the guys that was like really trying to help it evolve in the right way, because I do respect the fact that the hotels have a business that they're running and they were getting burned. But, you know, like that whole time really became like travel 3.0, right? Which was like people were now being inspired for the first time to travel on a whole new platform that hadn't existed previously, right? That was the beauty of it.
It's exactly, because people, now social media came in and entered many layers of the purchasing chain or consumption, if you will. It's from the inspiration to the point. A statistic I saw floating around recently that, you know, TikTok has surpassed Google as the most searched travel platform, where people go and get inspiration for travel before booking something. And so there's a white space there that, you know, that's where the inspiration comes, you know, and they still got to then go and purchase it elsewhere through third parties or whatnot. A lot of what we're talking about is rapid change, right? And I don't think it's just respective to the travel industry. You know, technology has come and disrupted all industries. So we went from the biggest companies were big storefronts at the right prime locations, wherever they were, in whatever city in North America that they were, and they had people walk in, and, you know, they grew with them, and they rolled with them because they had no choice but to walk into a store to go and book a trip. Then the internet comes out, and all right, this, you know, now they can have a 24/7 storefront and go when they feel like it without having to move, and have access to all of the hotels, even if my travel agent doesn't know it. Better pricing because of the volume. That disrupts the traditional model. From there, we go to these rise of social media. Here's another platform, another layer. And I'm saying this with the mind that, you know, a lot of the conferences that we go to in the pure travel framework, you know, people are just starting to understand Facebook ads now, while TikTok is becoming, you know, TikTok shop. So we're always behind. We are always behind, and it's been a thing. So where that brings me to now is because, you know, some people are still grappling with the influencer ecosystem and how that's disrupted, and they're resentful. They probably because they don't know how to use it properly. But there's that. And before you know it, here comes AI. AI is here, and again, this is not just respective to our industry; it's to literally any industry. AI is, in my opinion, as revolutionary as electricity, if you will. Like it's going to supercharge any industry and anybody who knows how to use it properly. So here's another layer that's still, for those in the know, but still, 99% of people don't understand its full potential and value, how it can help in so many ways. So we're gonna narrow into exactly how it gets there. But now we're sitting on the influencer landscape. Now it got too big, it's too saturated. You can't, track the ROI like you used to. You're one of the unicorns who was able to at least, fine tune it. And, like you said, you had strategy. You weren't a 25-year-old child. You did it the right way, the tasteful way.
Yep.
Tell us, how do you see, where is that landscape today? Before we get into AI, like what is the state of influencer marketing, influencer e-commerce, if you will? Where do we stand now?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think we're at a point now where, there are a lot of people that are now, you can call them travel influencers. Now they want to be called content creators. Like everyone, is trying to single themselves out as what they are. But I think we're at a point now where, hotels have finally figured out, okay, we have a system. We know who we want to work with. We know the type of people that we want to come here. They know to look at the demographics. They know to look at their page. The influencers have now all built out like media kits. And it's actually that whole part of the business has started to become a lot more structured. It's become a lot more, like an industry standard for what's going on. But the problem is that for the hotels still, there is no actualized ROI that they're able to show when they're working with influencers. And this still presents a big problem because until that happens, the hotels and resorts are not going to spend a lot of money into anything unless they know there's going to be return on investment. It's just good business. Anyone that has a business knows that, like, hey, if I'm going to spend on this, I need to see a return on investment. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a year from now, but like 2, 3, 5 years from now, like this needs to pay some kind of dividends. Yeah. And so I think we're past the stage where hotels, accept the fact that the influencers have values. Now some of them are starting to learn how to run their pages better. Some of them have these protocols in place, but it's still lacking that one thing, which is how do we now take this and create income for our hotel? Because right now what happens is they bring someone in that has 1 million followers, the person stays for free, right? Yep. They take photos and videos, blah, 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 it gets posted, and they just hope that someone that sees it,
because they can't measure.
Because you can't measure. So I hope that someone that sees it comes and books the hotel, and they may see they got some more likes or some followers or some comments, but when you take that information to a general manager or an owner of a hotel, it means nothing.
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of where we're at. It's the influencers that are like the creme de la creme, there's probably, a couple hundred that are getting paid still to do this. The rest of them now are just getting free stays because the hotels have so many good content creators that they can do this. But I think we're at a point now where you're about to see another evolution of this actual, social media influencer / travel into, hospitality industry and really how do we take this from where it's evolved? And it's really evolved since 2014. So it took about 11 years to go from inception to where we are now. But I think it's at a point now where hotels are going to start demanding even a little bit more.
Of course. Which
makes sense?
Should, right? Because as you say, I mean, there's an onus, there's a pressure on the influencers to deliver something, again, some type of tangible return. And I think we're past the stage, like you say, of just getting a bunch of impressions, likes, and reach. We need more than that. Yeah. Having 1 million views and you still have empty rooms or you're only at 70% vacancy doesn't really solve the problem there. And again, it's layered because it disrupts the industry on so many levels. So now hotels are there. AI is coming. AI is here. We know how it influences so many layers or so many verticals of anybody's process, how to automate certain tasks. But for those thinking ahead, and clearly you're a visionary in that sense, there's opportunities here. There's AI, there's where the state of influencers are, there's where the traditional travel agencies are. We all still exist in our own bubbles, and the best of us are trying to combine it together. If I take how the traditional travel agency shunned influencers and social media and how long it took to warm up to that, they're really going to be terrified about AI as well. Which I have no problem saying this because I consider myself part of those trying to embrace it and find the solution. AI will disrupt more than OTAs did, the online travel agencies, is going to disrupt more than the internet, the influencers. And why? Because already those two disruptors are also going to supercharge themselves with AI. I mean, if you go on Expedia right now, there's digital assistants that are kind of navigating, help you push you through your buying decision better. And I'm saying this, and from recent conferences or recent trips that I've done with what I consider very good travel agents, I mentioned the word ChatGPT, and it's like I insulted their mothers. They know it, and they
really.
Yeah.
It's like
why
because
they're afraid.
They know what it is, but then they think it's cheating.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that. It doesn't replace. It can't make an itinerary like I can.
What's your personal feeling on it though? Like
it's completely changed so much for us, how we operate our business, from the way we onboard,
ChatGPT,
from the way we communicate together, to the way we ideate together. It's meant to amplify. It's not meant to replace thought. It's meant to enhance thought for those. And some people still
to learn how to use it.
And some people still treat it like a glorified Google, a one question, one prompt, and then look, that's not even a good answer. Some people have no idea the many layers that we can use. Like I'm sending it screenshots to help it answer while I'm doing something else because it knows me. It has my profile. It helps me ideate and start an itinerary that I'm going to go finish anyways. My favorite hotels and my favorite things. It's going to help me with content creation, ideation. It helps me just be so much more infinitely efficient and productive. And people are looking at it as how it's going to replace me. Listen, at the end of the day, it still doesn't exist yet. And we'll get to that, where it's going to actually book the trip for you. A human still has to intervene and come and moderate it to a certain degree. But the people that are, I have no time for the people that are, oh no, you can't use that. It's cheating. It's not right. It's this. It's that. Like you're so backwards, and I don't want to help you.
It's only excuses. It's only excuses because at the time you're already fully busy in your day. Yes. You don't want to take the time to learn. You don't want to take the time to train yourself. So that's only excuses for them not to try to learn it.
It's so on brand with the history of what's happened in this industry of Expedia is bad for this. No, it's not, man. No, it's not. It's meant to help. The internet. There was a time people said, hey, I'm never going to put my credit card on, and we're not even talking about travel, just to buy anything. I'm not going to buy a pair of shoes and put my credit card into this internet thing. It's going to steal my identity. And look where that brought us up now. And then I see people resisting AI as if it's like saying when the car was invented, saying, no, never mind, I prefer to walk. Like, no.
Yeah.
We're past that. So let's talk to the audience that's past that, because we're going to lose the people that are afraid of it. Anyways, those visionaries, those bright thinkers. AI is here, and anybody with half a brain knows that even if they don't know how yet, like something is coming if it's not already here.
Yep.
We see it everywhere. Where does that fit into what we're discussing here?
Yeah.
Whether it's social media, the travel industry at large, how can it coexist? How could people like me, like you, together, separately, use it to do what we do better?
Do what you do. That's a great question. So I'll give you a term that kind of wraps this whole thing up that even a lot of travel professionals are maybe not aware of. And the term is tourism or travel 4.0, right? So that sounds like a very tech word, like travel 4.0. Do you know what that is? And most people are like, no, should I?
Just to be clear, we've been saying it throughout there. So 1.0, the early ages, the storefronts, traditional travel agencies.
Correct.
2.0, the internet,
OTAs,
online travel agencies like Expedia and Booking. 3.0 is social media influencing, these new channels, this new way of transacting, the influencers, and now we're at 4.0. And there's some people that are still stuck on 2.0. And
a lot of people are stuck on 2.0, especially traditional travel agencies. And I think in any business, if you're a business owner, if you want to be successful, you have to know that times always will and do change, right? It's evolution. Throughout the history of human, evolution, and even especially since the Industrial Revolution, what was happening then is not what's happening now. We're becoming way more advanced. We're becoming more technologically, empowered. When I was growing up, we barely even had I didn't think I got a PC till I was 12 or 13 years old, right? So prior to that, we had a typewriter. Yeah. Right? A typewriter. Yeah. Kids nowadays won't even know what that is. They have iPads, iPhones, this, that, and the other. Everything. And so industries do and always will change. And so tourism 4.0 is really, the term is how do you create a better consumer experience in a true digital age where everyone lives online, from pre-booking inspiration all the way until they get home. You know, like, how can we make that experience easier for people to find out where they want to go, easier for them to research the information, go to a place where they actually trust without having to spend thousands of hours online. And then once they make the booking, once they check into the place where they're going, how can we make that experience more seamless? How can we make it easier? How can we make it more convenient? How can we get their questions answered faster? How can we make sure they're not waiting in lines or calling the front desk? Or, you know, like, you go on vacation, and most people go on vacation maybe once a year, some twice for the average novice traveler. There's people that do a lot more than that. But for most people in the world, they go once or twice a year. They're spending their hard-earned money to go away for a week and escape. That's their escape from reality, right? They get to go somewhere nice, take their family, blah, blah, blah. The last thing you want to do is have problems, not get your questions answered, be waiting in lines, you know, have things that are disrupting it. And then all the way to the time you actually leave the hotel and go back to you write a review. So this is really the definition of tourism 4.0 is like, how can we make that better using the latest technologies? Those are
experience.
Yeah, exactly. And those are like the Internet of Things. So like, how does your social talk to your website, talk to, you know, like all these different interactions that are happening online and all these interfaces. Blockchain is also part of tourism, where like now some hotels, you can book them with crypto, or some experiences that's coming. You know, it's not like widely accepted, but there are some hotels now that accept crypto. But the one that is the shining star, the one that is the trendiest term right now in the world, and the one that everyone now is using probably on a daily basis, whether it's Perplexity, ChatGPT, or whatever, is AI. Everyone knows what AI is now. A lot of us are using it to make our lives easier. And so this is the one that I feel right now, and not just now, but for the foreseeable future, will be the one that will change that, which is AI. And how does that happen? And so when I say this, a lot of people in traditional hospitality, whether they're a travel agent or they're a hotel resort, they're like, but we're in the hospitality business. It's a person-to-person business. Like, AI can never replace us. And I say that's absolutely correct. They can't. But AI can improve efficiencies, and it never sleeps, and it can speak 180 languages, and you can't. So it's going to enhance the consumer's trip. So this is where we're at with tourism and travel 4.0. And so, you know, I saw this coming down the pipeline almost about 2 years ago now, right? I was introduced to a platform called ManyChat. Right? ManyChat is like, ManyChat is like AI 1.0. And right now we're at about 5.0, all right? But this is like pre-programmed AI, where if someone comments on Instagram, comment this word, or sends you a direct message with a keyword, it's not very sophisticated. It's not a conversational. It takes time to set up. It takes a lot of time, but like, hey, comment beach, and we'll send you information about our beach hotel, right? So I saw this and I realized that like there was a big disconnect with social media and the way that the hotels were using it, because I have managed hotel Instagrams in the past, and I have a lot of clients now that I still have access and I consult for them. And I recognize that the person that's managing the social media for a hotel is not the sales director. It is not the F&B director. For those of you who don't know that term, it means like the restaurant director in charge of all the food and beverage. Yeah. It's like, they don't know that. So most hotels right now are getting DMs from people, maybe daily or even weekly, depending on size of them. And people are asking them questions like, hey, how much, do you have any specials right now? Or,
where can I make a dinner reservation?
Or can I make a dinner reservation? Hey, are you family friendly? You know, I have a little dog I want to bring. Is it pet friendly? You know, like exploratory questions, right? The thing is that you look at the ecosystem, every hotel around the world is paying someone, you know, like $1,500 to $2,000 to run their social. Their job is to put up pretty pictures and videos, and that's it.
Yeah.
Their job is not to sell rooms or anything else at the hotel. So a lot of these conversations go unanswered. Of course. Right? And so what I did is I said, okay, what I think we can do, and it took a lot, believe me, it took a lot of work and a lot of like programming, a lot of like, you know, because it was the first time anyone was doing this for the hospitality industry. Like, how do we take this antiquated AI 1.0 and create a way for it to become like a somewhat digital concierge? So when people are asking certain keywords about a hotel, and there's like 40 of them that come up more than anything, but you can imagine like suite, room, restaurant, spa, location, like these trigger words, right?
Right, of course.
It can give a very immediate and intelligent response to provide them an answer to their question in real time, because we live in a society in 2025 where nobody wants to wait for anything. Not 1 minute, one second, like I want my answer now, and if you don't give it to me, I have severe ADHD and I'm on to the next thing, or I'm gonna go find my answer somewhere else, right?
Absolutely, right? And there's, you're saying this because, again, we're talking about perspective of efficiency, and there's a lot of travel advisors who watch us and listen to us, and might be hearing this like, well, what are we getting at? Are we creating our own competition? Because at the end of the day, what our main role is to answer those questions. Obviously, as a good travel agent uses a combination of a lot of things to be able to answer any question they can, whether it's their own personal knowledge from having visited and all that kind of stuff, and the chains that they associate with. But do you think I know every single restaurant? Does it have gluten-free of every hotel in the world that you're interested in when you're interested in? And do I try and pretend like I do? No. So, I mean, when we're talking about customer efficiency, I mean, I'm sure Jeff Bezos in his mission said, you know what? I don't think people want lower prices, so I'm never going to try and continue to evolve lower prices, because he's trying to make the customer's life easier. We're travel advisors. We're trying to make our customers' lives easier. So, you know, in a perspective of using what AI can do that you simply cannot do, because it's more supercharged. And what you're getting at and what we're saying here is, you know, it answers all those questions. And if you look at anybody's smartphone, how many pages do we all have of countless apps, and sometimes that we downloaded once? And at one point, apps were a solution that, you know what, the websites are messy.
Yep.
People's websites keep getting bigger and bigger with time because there's entertainment, restaurants, room categories, suites, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that doesn't solve the problem. Well, I can't book a spa there or dinner reservation. So they created these apps, and especially for some of the bigger chains that have, you know, countless hotels, a Hyatt, a Hilton, or whatever. If you generally have the app of that hotel chain,
correct,
other hotels you can go, you could potentially book a dinner reservation or this, or kind of get your information there. But again, you're on another app, which now we're just going to sound spoiled, but in the attention economy where we don't have attention anymore, we want everything now, whether we like it or not, whether that's right or not, that's the reality. And people don't want to wait a second or two. I don't want to swipe 3 pages down, open the app. I don't remember my login. Like, it just becomes too much.
Yep.
And AI answer those problems. And that's something that I know that a lot, from your side of it, that a lot of hotels are expressing as pain points, but still don't necessarily understand how to manage that and what's to even do with that. What is the benefit if I could even answer all of your questions in real time? Obvious answer being, you know, high customer satisfaction. And maybe sometimes the fact that I can go to one place to get all this information, but there and again, where is this one place we're going to get all that?
Correct.
Right. So
yeah,
that's where that kind of leads into.
That's where it leads into. And like, you know, this is just a natural evolution, you know, and as someone who now I feel has like a really good understanding of the travel industry, I understand that like AI will never replace travel agencies, right? To your guys' point, and like to any of the travel agency owners out there or people that are travel agents, and you're wondering like, okay, well, AI, you think is gonna replace me? No, but now we're in this economy, right, where even travel agents need to learn where they're gonna like find new clients from.
Exactly.
Right? And so I've actually worked with a lot of travel agents and helped them build their Instagram page, because I'm like, look, if you're a travel agent, now you have a platform that's free for you to use to go out and curate an audience and inspire them so that you can then get the bookings and do it for them, right?
One of, not to cut this.
No.
The reality of we're trying to grow a team, and a lot of our offer when we get applications or people that want to work for us, everybody wants to work remotely.
Yeah.
So we don't have storefronts that can just
correct
to the traffic that it once could back in the day.
That's done.
And so to your point exactly, you have like, I mean, I can't even understand the people who don't think they even have a choice. Like, you don't have a choice. How are you going to get known? How are you going to build a reputation? How are you going to go and acquire clients if you don't do that? So I think
so there's a way for them to incorporate it, you know, like with the AI. And so like if you build a social profile, on Instagram. The agent's like, well, yeah, it's going to replace me. No, but you can use it to enhance your own business. You can grow your own profile, you can grow a following. And then when you have a special that comes up from a hotel that's exclusive to you, and you can give them a better deal than the OTAs can. Imagine doing a post and being like, hey guys, I have an exclusive offer on this. Anyone that's interested, comment. Like, let's say it's like the sandals. And like 20 of your followers comment that. You just generated 20 new leads, but the AI can actually answer those in real time and have that initial conversation with them to keep them warm and tell you that you're available, right? So it actually becomes like a digital assistant that you can use.
Exactly.
And that will make you a lot more efficient because you don't have time to maybe answer 20 people's preliminary questions about this place. How far is it from the airport? Can I bring my kids? What's the per night? Like, this is all time-wasting questions, right? They're not actually transacting, but it's pushing them closer to the actual booking.
And getting
right?
so much more people that would have seen your store from anyway.
Correct. And again, responding to them in real time. So this is where we're at with travel. And, for people that are in the travel industry that are still are trying to come to grips with, AI, like, I saw a really good video online by like a CEO, I think it was SoftBank or something, one of those huge institutes. He's like, look, this thing's a tidal wave. It's already here. The train has left the station. You just need to decide at what point along the road you're getting on, because there's no stopping this. So you either need to understand how you're gonna incorporate this to make you more efficient in your business. But if you don't, that's fine. But the people that will leave you behind, because AI can replace so many of these tasks that humans cannot, and that's where we're at right now.
And there's a lot of important things there. First and foremost, there's a lot of very successful, well-to-do travel agencies that are out there that are probably on the back line of their career and have a clientele that followed them from way long ago that aren't going anywhere. So those people can hear this, completely ignore this, and still sail off into the sunset with their businesses, because that's where they're at, and that's fine.
Good for them, yeah.
And good for them.
Yeah.
Where I always rest on one, because I was raised by a travel agent, I grew up in the industry, so I've seen that part of it. I think we're all in agreement. Every guest who's passed by through here, I try and make a point of saying, do you agree with me that in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, people will still be traveling, right? They're traveling. It's a no-brainer. You don't even have to answer the question.
Yeah.
Right. So therein, what is that going to look like? So for those of them screaming against AI and it's whatever, it's cheating, it's this, whatever, everything that makes you feel uncomfortable about yourself because you haven't gone out and learned the thing yet, that's on you. It's here. Like you just said, the CEO said the train has left. So
the train's left the station, And
people will still travel. So for anybody who loves this industry, who loves to travel, who wants to make a career in travel, yesterday you had to start learning about this, even if you haven't figured out how you're going to implement it in your own process yet. You're a traditional travel agencies, and there's always going to be a viability for what we do. I don't know if AI will be able to organize huge weddings or groups or retreats. There's a component of logistics.
Yeah, no.
It's going to help it 100%.
It's going to help.
The best of the best will remain viable. If you operate and you developed a high-end clientele that's just busy or whatnot, they're deferring to you anyways. They're coming to you. They don't have time to research it. They need quick, efficient service. Now it's up to you how you're incorporating the tools at your disposition to enable and help them better. But then there's the larger side of the coin. There's a lot of call it mass market producers. Not everybody is an elite, high net worth travel agent, right? We all want to be. We all have some clients like that. Very few of us have only clients like that. It's a great aspiration, but for the majority and the reality, you have to figure out how to implement it. And now we're talking strictly travel agent sides, but there's a lot of hoteliers and suppliers listening to us as well. And that's important to note. They're looking at this too. And having had other executives on our show too, discussing how they've used it internally to make their processes more efficient. We're talking about big tour operators that have call centers and employees internationally. It's a big operation to manage, right? And for efficiency, reduced call time, customer satisfaction, all that kind of stuff, it's already being implemented. So that's just to drive home the point that AI is here. Now, we want to get really where I think it's the most interesting part of it is now. Is it going to influence? Because I've seen, Booking.com have a digital, they call it an AI travel agent. I dabbled with it. It helps bring through the process, but there's still an issue with converting the transaction through the full funnel of the AI. So now you're talking about how the AI is to be used. So there's a couple of big developments, right? I don't know if you're able to speak about the meta things publicly or what's been approved or not.
So I could touch on it. So, I was given access by Meta during this process of doing this for the first client hotel, who I won't mention by name because I don't know if I have the permission to do that. And when I saw that what the AI could do, and I saw the how it could immediately help every single hotel with not ever missing a potential booking on their Instagram DM because the social media manager wasn't qualified to do it, that one functionality alone is worth it through the hotel.
Yeah.
You know, if you're spending money to have this AI service running, and I deal mostly with luxury hotels, right? So the average room rate in a hotel for a luxury hotel worldwide, let's just say is like $400 or $500, okay? Like middle. We'll just all agree on it. Maybe it is, maybe, but all right, $5. Okay, so let's go. I'll wrap the last two together. The influencers and the hotels. So for the influencers hotels, the hotels is going to do a number of things. One, solve their number one financial goal, or if you're positive, or on the other side, the thing they're most trying to accomplish, which is driving direct bookings. It's also going to make for a way better customer service experience for all their clients, which is also really high on their list. And then third, it'll eliminate language barriers, right? And it'll be able to speak to their clients and have very intelligent conversations with them, not just on Instagram and WhatsApp, but Facebook, Telegram, TikTok, Google. So every major platform website that anyone's gonna have discovery with them on and the ability to conversate with them on, they'll have a digital concierge that will be able to answer all the questions and get them that much closer to a booking. Now, from the influencer side of it, what's really, really interesting is that influencers will also be able to utilize this kind of technology, but hotels will be able to go then work with influencers and tell them, hey, you can stay at our hotel, but if you want to do that, then you need to direct people to our Instagram page and tell them they can find exclusive offers, better deals, anything they want to know. If they have a question about this beautiful hotel they just saw me staying at for 1 week, go to their Instagram DM, you know, which is very easy, just tag it and you push it and send them their name, and they'll be able to ask it any questions, because we all know that anytime an influencer travels somewhere, there's going to be a big some portion of their audience that's going to be interested in that place. But right now, those people have to fact find on their own. Now they'll be able to do it directly on the Instagram of the hotel, and if that's a seamless process, and then the AI can notify the people that they have a better rate or an exclusive offer that the OTAs can't, then there's no reason for the people not to complete that entire transaction right here rather than go do it on their own. So there's a big, you know, there's going to be this marriage. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be way more efficient for everyone. Everyone's going to make a lot more money. And like you said, it's going to be a great thing for the travel industry. So, you know, there should be no resistance to it.
That's because the platform you're developing, ONU, can literally do that. Act as a digital concierge.
In real time, yeah.
Soon act as a booking platform within the DMs.
Correct.
In the suite of choice.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
You heard it there first. Gil, this has been an absolute pleasure. If you have any closing statements that you want for the people out there, I mean, Luxury World Traveler on Instagram, over 3 million followers.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram at Luxury World Traveler, or at my first name, Gil.Antolin. No, this is really exciting times, you know, like being able to develop ONU and something I feel like is going to disrupt the travel industry is incredible. And, you know, it's just, I like technologies, I like efficiencies, but I also see like this helping millions of people around the world have a better vacation experience. And I mean, you know, everybody wants to have a great vacation. That's why you guys do what you do. You want them to have an amazing vacation. I don't ever want to go on a bad vacation. So a software that can help do that at scale, make hotels more profitable and make people happier is a good thing. And that's why I think AI is here to stay, because it will never replace you. It just will help to amplify what's already in place to make a happier ecosystem for us travelers, huh?
Yeah. Looking forward to everything that's coming up.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to jump in the water right now because it's hot, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I needed,
Thank you so much, guys.
my shirt's soaked.
Thank
All right,
you.
ciao, guys.
Thank you.